What's the question? What's he say? Islam versus Ilya? Listen, kid. I said we're doing a super fight, okay? How do you not do Valentina Shevchenko versus Juliana Pena in the Apex? Now that is a bad-ass main event.
I think the UFC has started intentionally rage baiting for a number of different reasons, right? UFC 312 is in a couple days, right? Is anyone excited? Does anyone think it's a good card? Because I haven't seen a single person defend this, not even the people on the card. I'm pretty sure I heard Dricus say like, yeah, the card kind of sucks, but like at least the main event will be decent. Like that's literally the biggest takeaway from this card. The main event might be decent. I'm not even hyped for Zhang Weili versus Tatiana Suarez, because guess what? Like, whoa, the annual Zhang Weili title defense. You know, like the only intriguing thing about this fight would be if Tatiana Suarez somehow pulls it off. And even if she does, it would probably be via like close decision that people call a robbery. Like, low-key, I think Zhang Weili won that. They robbed her of the belt. And then, you know what happens next? Not even like an interesting strawweight fight. They would just book a rematch immediately. So now we got to see Zhang Weili fight Tatiana Suarez in the rematch in 2026 when they come back, when Zhang Weili's ready to fight again. Like, I'm sorry, but it's just not hype. It's not interesting. But I think that this is intentional, right? Rage bait is something that has become a lot more popular, a lot more prevalent in the past couple years, I want to say, past year really. It's really become a thing just like on Twitter, on YouTube, on TikTok, basically everywhere. People use it as a means of getting people to listen to their music, to watch their videos, to, you know, engage with their products, buy their products, all that stuff. Anytime you can build engagement, people go for it, right? It doesn't matter if it's good engagement, if it's bad engagement. If it's engagement, that's good. As long as it's nothing to the point where like, okay, your platform's going to be taken away from you, it's good, right? And in the UFC's case, I think they have a lot to gain from rage baiting, even more than just engagement, right? You're going to have a myriad of videos getting dropped about how bad UFC 312 is and how bad the UFC matchmaking is and how bad the cards are. That's number one. But also, it helps by dropping our expectations to a level where they can easily surpass them, right? Let me explain that. So imagine if every single card was good, right? Every single UFC card had good fights, good main event, good co-main, good feature fight, good prelims, good undercard, all that stuff, right? We wouldn't ever be like, whoa, this card is so amazing, because every card would have a baseline level of quality that we've come to expect. On the flip side, it is beneficial if they make cards that are god-awful bad, so that when they do make a decent card or a good card, we're more impressed than we otherwise would be, right? Because our standards are lowered, okay? Now, I think it's of their belief, and it's sort of correct, that it's better to have a god-awful trash card than a mid card. Because like I said, if you just make a mid card, right, people are just going to forget about it in a week, right? But if you have a really bad card, especially if the fights are actually bad, like we expect on paper, then that's just, you would think that that's going to hurt the company, right? Like, oh, the pay-per-view sales are going to be down. And like, yeah, they might make a bit of a hit pay-per-view wise, but they'll still sell out the gate or whatever. Dana White at the post-fight press conference will be like, yeah, the gate, we beat the record for the gate. The past record was us, and we beat us, and we set the attendance record for Australia and worldwide, and we just killed it, right? The PFL sucks. Like, Dana White's gonna say that after every single event, right? It doesn't matter which one it is, it doesn't matter how bad the card is, where the location is, the taxes, whatever, it doesn't matter, right? What does matter is that when they announce UFC 316 and it's a banger, and by banger I just mean like a normal fight, like, guys, we're doing Bilal versus Shavkat in the Intuit Dome, people are gonna be like, whoa, this is a crazy card. I mean, didn't you guys see UFC 312? That one sucked. This has an actual fight on it. I'm excited now, I'm gonna pay for this. That helps, right? Whereas if the UFC just made decent cards every single time, then we wouldn't get excited. And then going back to the engagement, they've been doing some weird stuff, bro. Like, they cut Rosenstrike, who was on a win streak, just because he lost one fight. And the guy who he beat in his last fight, who was on like a 5-fight losing streak, he went up in the rankings because they cut Rosenstrike. Tell me, please tell me how that makes sense. Please, right? Tell me how that's not engagement bait. All right? Henry Cejudo and Dominic Cruz being on the same card but not fighting each other. Tell me how that's not engagement bait, right? Nick Diaz and Tony Ferguson, they were planning on putting them on the same card but not having them fight each other, right? They were going to do like Nick Diaz versus Vicente Luque, Tony Ferguson versus Michael Chiesa. Tell me how that's not engagement bait. Like, how is this just a normal decision that real human beings would make, right? Bedtime MMA is looking like Einstein out here compared to Dana White and his goons. I'm sorry, but like, I refuse to believe that they are genuinely this incompetent and this out of touch. Surely, at least some of it, maybe not all of it, but at least some of this has to be intentional rage bait.